All right, so this is going to be a review of the trailer for The Marvels. It's not the next MCU movie coming out. That's Guardians 3. I believe this is the next one after that. I think it's been delayed a few times, or maybe it's just been once. But it says it's coming out in November, at least as of right now. It's the sequel to Captain Marvel, but also the Ms. Marvel show, which I didn't see the Ms. Marvel show. I will have seen it or watched it by the time this comes out. But Captain Marvel, I did not like. Yeah, the political moments in it are kind of forced, but it's not because of that. I just found it boring, right? And I don't feel like they had much of a grasp on it. Brie Larson, who plays Captain Marvel, I guess she tries her best for what she has, but I thought she was miscast. But to be honest, it's so all over the place. Like one minute she's kind of stoic, the next minute she's kind of a smartass, almost like an Iron Man. And I didn't really feel like they got a grasp on it. I really couldn't get invested in her and the overall plot with the scrolls and things. I just thought it was boring. I largely found the movie really boring. But who knows? Maybe I like this one. So this trailer, it starts off on the Saber space station. You got Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury. He's there. I guess he's running things, but he seems like he doesn't really know what Monica Rambeau is doing. Monica Rambeau, once again played by Tiana Paris. She was in the WandaVision show. So I guess you got to do a lot of homework for these now, because now you got to watch WandaVision or maybe rewatch it to get reacquainted with her, and you got to watch Ms. Marvel and go back and maybe rewatch Captain Marvel. This is homework now. But she's out there in a spacesuit, and she's using her powers to do something. There's a wall of something there. Right off the bat, the CGI doesn't look all that great. Like her being in the suit, and then later on with Ms. Marvel, just doesn't look good. But whatever. This is a trailer. Most of the effects in here just look kind of shoddy. It's looking shaky, but this is just a trailer, so whatever. She uses her powers, and she switches with Ms. Marvel. That is Kamala Khan, played by Iman Vellani. And she starts screaming and things like that. It's more of a comedic moment. I didn't see that show, but from what I've seen, at least with this trailer and certain clips that I've seen, the actress seems to be doing a good job, and I kind of like the character. From what I know of the character outside of the movies or in her show, she's a little bit kind of annoying to me. I don't really like the fanboy / fangirl characters. They just kind of get on my nerves in pretty much anything. But she seems kind of endearing here. It seems like most of the comedy and maybe even some heart when it comes to the emotional moments are probably going to be through her. So she switches, she's there with Nick Fury, she's like, oh, what is this? And things like that. And then you see Captain Marvel switch with Ms. Marvel and be in her room. She sees Captain Marvel stuff all over the place, and then she's like, what the hell? What's going on? And if she was more of a comedic character, she could have really played that up, right? Can you imagine just out of nowhere being in a room which is just covered with you all over the walls? You're right. I feel like you would be really freaked out by that, and you could really mind that for comedy, but doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like her character's going to be a little bit more comedic, but it seems like she's still going to be, the more serious, at least of, these three. At that point, Monica Rambeau and Nick Fury go to see Ms. Marvel's family, and they're there with them and things like that. And I have an issue with this moment, but I'll talk about that later. But Ms. Marvel ends up using her powers again. She switches with Captain Marvel. Earlier on, when Monica Rambeau switched with Ms. Marvel, when Ms. Marvel switched into Monica Rambeau's spot and Captain Marvel was in her room, Monica Rambeau was on some planet or whatever fighting what seems like the Kree. It seems like the Kree is going to be the villains here. So at this point, when when Ms. Marvel's at there with her family, she switches with Captain Marvel, and she's in some ship or whatever, once again fighting the Kree, and there's the cat from the first Captain Marvel movie with the tentacles or whatever. I have something to say about this scene, so hold on to that, because I have something to say, but that's going to be later on. So from what I'm getting from this, because then you see them together, and they're kind of a team, they're kind of forced together, and then they're flying in a ship or whatever. It seems like they may be going to a different planet, only the planet seems pretty uninspired, because it just doesn't really look like a different planet all that much. They're in like these different outfits and these colors and things, but I think there's only maybe one character that kind of looks alien-like, maybe more, but most of them kind of look like people with certain makeup on and things like that. Is like, were you guys trying to save on makeup and prosthetics? Like, I don't know, because it just kind of didn't really look all that different. But from what I'm gathering from this, it seems like it's mostly going to be Captain Marvel taking on this what looks like the Kree, and the villain has this hammer that looks like Ronin's, and there's some people there that look like Ronin. So I think it's the Kree that they're taking on. And because of the whole switching thing, it seems like Monica and Kamala Khan, they're just along for the ride, kind of. And then they have to work together, and they can anytime they use their powers, they switch, so they have to figure that out. So that's what it seems like. Costume design all looks okay. It looks like it's shot okay as well. It kind of just looks like standard MCU fare to me, for the most part, especially from like from the technical aspects of it, the filmmaking. From what I'm getting from, because you get a little bit of them interacting, those three. From what I'm getting, it doesn't seem like they have much chemistry, right? They kind of feel like just thrown together and things like that. Even Ms. Marvel and Captain Marvel, which I wish this movie would have just been them, and I'll get into that a little bit in a second. They don't seem to have much going on, right? There's the moment where she's like, "We're a team," and they're like, "No, we're not a team," or whatever. And I guess that's supposed to be comedic. It's not very funny. It seems like most of the comedy is going to come from the switching, and mostly with Ms. Marvel like freaking out at certain things because she's not used to it yet. The main thing I wanted to talk about here, and this is probably the last thing I'm going to talk about, is the switching, right? So when they use their powers, they switch. And that could be a good thing and a bad thing. Because at first, when I heard about it, right, I think it happens at the end of the Ms. Marvel show with her and Captain Marvel. At first, when I heard about it, that was going to be the plot of this, or part of it. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool, right? They've never done that before. That could be interesting. That could lead to some interesting things. Then in this trailer, I thought about it some more, and I was like, this could really not work. Like I said, the effects don't look all that great, but whatever, this is a trailer. It feels like it could potentially be really messy. Like I said, if it was just Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel, it could be a little bit more, it could be a little tighter, and you could get more of a, I don't know, like a mentor type relationship comes out of that. She's a fangirl lover. So there's automatically investment, at least of one of them, to get closer to the other one. And maybe that could be a thing throughout the movie. But with those three, especially with them not really feeling like they flow too much together for me, it feels, like it might be a little bit messy, especially in the first act when things are moving around so much, right? They have to come up with some reason as to why it's happening, because if not, then it kind of feels like you're only doing this just to force these characters together. But, with the messiness of it, because you have certain switching and things that goes on, and it's like, how do you determine which one switches with what, right? Ms. Marvel's up in space, and Mark Rambo's where Captain Marvel was, and Captain Marvel's where Ms. Marvel was. Is it like a wheel, right? Is it going to be like that all the time? It's like, I don't know. If it is, it seems like anytime any of them uses their powers, it happens. I don't think it has to happen if they use their powers at the same time or anything like that. I don't know. I really don't know how this works. But the thing that I was really gonna bring up about what happens when she's with her family and things like that, Monica comes to see her. She's like, "Well, I'll show you my powers right now." And she goes to show her powers, and she switches with Captain Marvel. She's on the ship with the cat. Why does Monica not go anywhere? Because Ms. Marvel and Captain Marvel switch places. Captain Marvel's now there with the family, and Ms. Marvel's up with the cat. Monica didn't go anywhere. Shouldn't they all three switch every time, or is that not how it works? I don't know. I'm really confused, and nobody else has pointed this out. It's like Monica didn't go anywhere. She didn't switch at all. She seemed like she was just still there, and nothing happened. Because if she did, where would she go? Because they switched with each other. It's like I don't, because she asked where she at, and she's like, wherever you were at. It's like, so Monica didn't move at all. Nothing happened to her. That's really weird. I don't know. I don't know how this is gonna work. It feels like it could potentially be all over the place. And then also, like other people have pointed out, it doesn't really feel like it really fits theatrically. It almost feels like this is just another Disney Plus show. Like this is Ms. Marvel season 2 or something like that. With the whole switching thing, it's very Freaky Friday and some other things. So, it feels like it's really just there for comedy. So if this was just a comedy movie or whatever, okay, fine. You could set up some comedy beats there and a storyline there. But with a movie and a Marvel movie, and you're taking on a villain and stuff like that, it does kind of feel small scale. I'm worried about the switching thing, but the trailer ultimately looks fine. You know, it doesn't look good or bad. I'm just kind of like, shrugging my shoulders. But yeah, I know it's got a lot of dislikes, and that's by design. There were people who were going to dislike it regardless because they're, for whatever reason, invested, that invested in this, in hating this for whatever reason, or because they hate Brie Larson or whatever's going on there. So yeah, we're going to get another round of people making hundreds of videos about Brie Larson every time she does an interview, and this woman won't be able to cough without somebody making 5 videos about it. I'm not looking forward to that at all, but whatever. That is the Marvels trailer. I think it was just a teaser, but it was a lot for a teaser. It might be the official trailer. But anyway, that's it. Subscribe and I'm done.